I want to introduce a couple of guests who are here. Do you guys want, Tom, you want to grab that mic there? We've got Tom Bracken from the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce, and Michelle Sikirka is here from New Jersey Business and Industry. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning. Great.
Morning.
So what I like is that you guys, we have continuing conversations, even though we don't always agree on every issue. But we are definitely on the same page here in that millennials are running out of this state because the politicians on both sides of the aisle have made it utterly unaffordable for a young person to look at this. And you've heard them on the phones this morning, you know, and you just heard Amanda, right? Here's a teacher. I didn't ask her what she's making, but let's say she's making $70,000 a year. I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere in that neighborhood. She's not only on a huge commute from Westfield. I mean, that's got to take her an hour to get to Mercer County. So she's spending the money on gas, but her property taxes in Westfield are you've got to average $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. And even she's saying, look, if you give me a raise, you release that cap, what am I going to pay on the other side? So anyway, what's the solution?
Well, let's
you guys are here to solve the problem, right?
Isn't that we're on it. We're on it.
Right.
Well, you know what?
Bob, right? That's why we brought him in.
We're looking for the solutions. I mean, let's start with, you're absolutely right. We are number one in the nation for out-migrating millennials.
Yeah.
We are also number one in the nation for millennials living home with their parents. That screams to us affordability. Yeah. So Tom and I are working together, the Chamber and BIA, on an agenda for affordability through Opportunity New Jersey. You can check out the website, opportunitynj.org. But we are putting forth a platform for New Jersey's next governor in order to address issues and a paradigm shift. We're telling the next governor that we can no longer afford certain things in New Jersey, like our property taxes, and we're saying, and here's what we should consider in exchange for that.
How many people do you speak for on the business and industry side and on the chamber side, would you say, membership-wise?
In our coalition, which is called Opportunity New Jersey, we have a very, very strong coalition of all the major regional chambers, vertical trade groups in New Jersey. And by our estimate, between the members of all these organizations, we represent somewhere around 4 million workers in the state of New Jersey.
All right, so that's an awful lot of people. That's
yes,
certainly enough
to people.
That's enough to make the decision on who the next governor will be. And I know your groups don't endorse,
no.
right? You've stayed out of this.
Yep.
But let me ask you. Well, I got to break for traffic and weather. But on the other side, just think about this answer. When you say we can't afford property taxes, there isn't anybody in this state that's going to disagree with that in terms of the average working family. The question is, and it always comes up, how do you solve it to reduce it? And, is it just on, because Phil Murphy has said, well, just go out and make more money.
That's not an option.
Right. Like that, and you hear that and you're like, wait, what did he just say? And that's why, I know that I'm kind of poking a little fun at him for the guy being totally out of touch. But when somebody says something like that, that's an absurd statement to make. And the question is, where on the other side of the ledger, on the balance sheet of what we're spending, can you remove to say, okay, now we can fully fund the pensions. Now we can give the tax incentives to people. And I want to get your opinion on Amazon. 717 on New Jersey 101.5. Talking about New Jersey affordability, specifically for millennials and the business climate in this state. I'm joined by Michelle Sikirka from New Jersey Business and Industry Association and Tom Bracken from the New Jersey State Chamber of Commerce. So, Michelle, let me start with you. The question on the other side, I just quickly, the position on Amazon, because I can't believe it after 8 years here. Now I'm finding myself agreeing with Governor Christie, Ras Baraka, Cory Booker, three people that you wouldn't think I would agree with on much. But it's smart business, I think, to try to create these 50,000 jobs, although I don't think they're actually going to come here. But what are your thoughts on it?
So I think we have to have an honest discussion about the tax incentives and recognize that when EDA grants a tax incentive, it's a promise to pay in the future as long as the company coming delivers. And what you have to deliver is the jobs. So if you don't deliver the jobs, you don't get the incentive later on. That's really important. So, every time EDA grants an incentive, there's someone out there screaming, the state just gave away X millions of dollars. That's not the case. That's only earned on the other side when the economic activity actually is taking place already in the state of New Jersey.
Tom, you brought up a good point off the air. Just share it with our listeners that the opportunity, let's say we don't get, honestly, I would put this at 1,000 to 1 that we're not going to get Amazon. So what happens with that $7 billion in incentives? What could you do with it?
Well, my organization put out a press release on Amazon saying it'd be great, just like you said, it'd be great to get Amazon, 50,000 jobs, wonderful. But if we don't get it, and don't forget, let's remember the driving force behind the Amazon proposal was for the economic impact that it would bring to the state of New Jersey. Take that same $5 billion of tax incentives they're talking about and give it to the 300,000 businesses that are already in New Jersey. They have been not served as well with incentives as the large companies have. They are the backbone of our economy. They deserve more attention. You give that same tax benefit to those companies, and I will assure you that the economic impact will be greater than it would have been if Amazon came here.
Yeah, I believe that. Let me ask you, both of you, you're governor for a day. You've got the line item veto. You've got the power of executive orders. What do you do? What would one thing that the new governor could do immediately to say, okay, that puts us on a path to affordability? What do you do?
Well, I'm someone who's about just doing, and I hate meetings, but I have to tell you, the very first thing I do is I would commission a commission, with a very short timeline to come back and take out all the reports that have been done on property tax reform in the state of New Jersey, study those reports, see what the best practices in those reports were, and report back to me in 60 days. I'd give them 60 days. There has been so much great discussion about how we do real property tax reform in this state, whether it's about fixing the pension, whether it's about how we fund education. There are reports sitting on shelves that have solutions that we have just ignored.
So, Tom, same question. Michelle needs 60 days, and I get it. I mean, you're right. And the point is that you can't do it in one day. But we came up with a list last year about $700 million that you could find in terms of like legislative stamp allocations, arts. 19 million for art in the state buildings. My head almost exploded when I heard that. So there are things that I would cut immediately day one. It would take me about 45 minutes, and you could probably save $100 million. Now, to the point, that's not going to put a dent in a $35 billion budget. But is there one thing that you think? I mean, I've also talked about healthcare. $2.6 billion that I think could be saved over 5 or 6 years if we change the way healthcare is administered in terms of state workers. Is there one thing?
We can't find any solutions, Bill, without having sit-down discussions on a nonpartisan, constructive basis among a lot of different stakeholders. So, to Michelle's point, I would reinforce that we need to have those kinds of discussions convened by the new governor on every single issue we have in the state of New Jersey. There's a solution to every issue we have in this state, and it can be found by bringing people together and talking about it. Our white paper, which we gave you, the lead-in comment there came from Buster Soares, and it says,
"Good guy."
It says, "Solutions don't come from government; they're given to government." And that's absolutely true. The need to sit down and have discussions in an open dialogue to unearth these potential solutions is out there, but you have to start with the discussions. So that's what I'd convene.
So Kim Guadagno comes on every other week. We do a digging in with Kim. She's been not only accessible, but as you know, she's given her cell phone out to many of your members.
And she answers it.
And she answers. People ask me that, like, does she actually answer the phone? I said, yes, she's actually taking calls while we were sitting here on the air. Do you think you're going to get that same kind of accessibility if Phil Murphy is governor?
I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil Murphy has spoken with us. He actually met with the Opportunity New Jersey board.
Yep.
And we had an honest discussion about, Tom likes to call seat at the table. And what I truly believe that if there is a fair process, you yield a fair outcome. The challenge for us in New Jersey right now is our policymaking process is a bit broken because we don't have that good stakeholder input. And I think if there's a fair process and people can feed in and you get the diversity of opinion and everybody has an opportunity to bring data to the table and people have an honest, nonpartisan discussion on it, I think you'll yield a fair result.
So last question, we only got about 30 seconds, but to both of you, it's very clear between the candidates in terms of taxes and spending. The question is the solution higher taxes? And when you talk about your members specifically, and if you either A, think it's a solution, and then B, second part, where do your members stand?
Solution meaning higher taxes?
Yeah, it's the solution to our fiscal woes to raise taxes.
The solution is a combination of things. I mean, maybe there's a component of higher tax, I don't know, but there's also a component of the audits that we're talking about. There's a lot of money to be found within government if they look for that. So it's a combination of finding more revenue in whatever form we can find that's acceptable to everybody, and also finding expense cuts.
Yeah, we have to.
Taxes?
Well, what we have to do is we have to prioritize. So we have to prioritize our spending. So if we have to raise tax in one area, we have to offset it somewhere else.
Okay.
All right. We are not raising taxes on the gross. We got to make sure that we have equitable relief all around.
All right. Website again? Where can people go?
OpportunityNJ.org.
OpportunityNJ.org.
One thing, Bill, I
Yeah.
would just add, you talked about the two candidates. We have two people running for governor who both have the best interest of New Jersey in mind. That's a great place to start. That's why when you talk about will they be accessible, I think they will, because I think they both know what they don't know and they need help.
I'm glad you will have access to both. We would disagree on that last statement, but we could do 2 hours of a show on who's got the best interest in mind. But I do appreciate you guys coming on, and we are absolutely on the same page in terms of there is only one question for the voters, and that is who's going to make New Jersey more affordable, who's going to keep millennials in the state and then bring them back when they get out of school to get that job that's going to help them pay down the debt that they incurred. So thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Tom. Always good to see you
Bill.
guys. All right,
Thanks,
it is 7:28 on New Jersey 101.5.